Greetings, Richard Fulmer here. Welcome to another edition of Richard's Rock Rambles. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. It's hard to believe it's almost the end of March. The year's just flying by. So for today, I'm going to start on our blues rock journey as opposed to the prog rock, which I'm going to leave for a while. I will come back to it at some stage. And I thought for this first episode, we'd talk about a gentleman that I'm really fond of. I've been following him right from the 70s, or 70s stuff I should say. And I'm talking about Robin Trower. Of course, Robin first came to prominence within the band Playful Heart, famously known for Whiter Shaded Pale, amongst other tracks. And, you know, he was with him for a few years. He was with him from 67 to 71. But I think he was getting a bit tired of the whole sort of psychedelic pop stuff that they were doing at the time, and he wanted to have a bit more of a showcase for his guitar work. Brilliant guitarist, such a distinctive sound. The tone he gets on that Strat is just amazing. I think he's played a Strat pretty much his whole career. There's actually a Robin Trower signature Strat that you can get for yourself if you have the money. So yeah, he decided to leave Playful Heart and do his own thing. And he had a very successful solo career. In fact, he's still going today. Just released an album recently. Collaboration with, I think, Maxi Priest of all people. So he's not scared of trying different things. He's also had collaborations with Brian Ferry. I think he did a few albums for him where he played guitar. On his more recent albums, he's actually taken to singing as well. He always used to have a vocalist. And that's the one thing I'm not that fond of, is his voice. It's not very powerful, very mellow, not mellow, very sort of, yeah, it doesn't work for me. He needs a good vocalist, and he had some incredible vocalists during his career. So we're going to have a look at the albums that I have. There's a couple of live albums as well, and a few other bits and bobs that I'm going to be speaking about. So the Robin Trower trio, or the Robin Trower band if you like, when he first started, was Robin Trower on guitar obviously, and a gentleman by the name of James Dewar, or Jimmy Dewar, who was with a band called Stone the Crows, and then he joined Robin's band. Such an amazing voice. You know, to me, that was the best acquisition Robin could have made, and it rounded out that band perfectly. Distinctive vocals, great voice. I mean, a lot of people know him as the bass player, but for me, his vocals added just the cherry on the top for that band. And the original drummer was a guy by the name of Reg Isidore, who would then be replaced a few albums in by Bill Lorden. So altogether there are 24 studio albums, so there's quite a few. Unfortunately, James Dewar died on the 16th of May 2002 from a stroke, but he had been battling with illness for some time before that. Really great loss. And I don't think I don't think he gets enough appreciation for what he brought to the table as far as the Robin Trower band was, concerned. He did leave. I think it was in the 80s that he left. But yeah, those early 70s albums, prime Robin Trower. So let's jump in and see what we have. So the first one I'm going to talk about is his debut album called Twice Removed from Yesterday, with that really interesting cover there. So this one had Reg Isidore on drums, James Dewar bass and vocals, and Robin Trower on guitar. And this was on the Chrysalis label, which of course was the label that also had Jethro Tull. I think that came a bit later. So the tracks on here, there's very little that's not good on here. I mean, this whole album is great. I Can't Wait Much Longer, Daydream, beautiful track with some incredible vocals from James Dewar. Hannah, it's a great track. Man of the World. And you'll hear on here how frustrating it must have been for Trower within Playful Heart, because he just bursts out with his first album. His tone, as I said, is amazing. I Can't Stand It on side 2, and one of his staples, especially live, Rock Me Baby, the cover, great track. Twice Removed from Yesterday, the title track, Sinner's Song, and Ballerina. Most of the tracks written by Dewar and Trower. So yeah, this is a must. Debut albums go, Can't get better than that. Then we move on to possibly his most well-known album, and the one that gets requested most, the title track from Bridge of Sighs. There we go. You guys see that? There's not a bad track on this album. It's a classic. Still the same lineup, Isidore, Dewar and Trower. Side 1 you had Day of the Eagle. Great track with lots of different pieces to that. Bridge of Sighs, that moody intro of Trower's. It just sort of starts very slow and you hear his guitar. This guy was amazing on the wah-wah pedal as well. And then it builds and builds. Beautiful track, Bridge of Sighs. In This Place, The Fool and Me. Two Rolling Stone, that's another great staple. Also become a great live track. About to Begin, with a great breathy sort of vocals from James Dio on that track. Lady Love, up-tempo number, and A Little Bit of Sympathy, also quite an up-tempo. Excellent album. I reach for this quite often. So that was Bridge of Sighs. I think the next one was For Earth Below, which is that album there. Also great. Shame the Devil, It's Only Money, Confessing Midnight, Fine Day, Alethea, that was another big hit from the early stuff. A Tale Untold, Going to Be More Suspicious, and the title track For Earth Below. Great third album. Then we move on to, what year was this? This was 1976. I think the debut came out in 74, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 74. So he'd been quite prolific in the early 70s. And this one is called Long Misty Days. And this one would feature the drummer Bill Lorden. That's him over there. And that's James Dewar, and there's Robin Trower. Also a great album. Same Rain Falls, Long Misty Days, the title track. Very similar to Bridge of Sighs. Also very moody, sort of haunting track. Hold Me, Caledonia, which I think is a cover. Pride, Sailing. That's the Rod Stewart number. Much better version on here. Sorry, Rod. SMO, I Can't Live Without You, and Messing the Blues, which is a great track. Sort of a nice sort of offbeat on that track. Great guitar work, excuse me, from Robin Trower on that track. Just want to have a sip of water. It's still early. I need more coffee. So then we move on to an album called, this one is called In City Dreams. That cool cover there. Not as great as some of the previous ones that I've just spoken about, but still very good. Still has that trademark Robin Trower guitar sound. Bluebird's a good track, Falling Star, Smile, and the title track In City Dreams. So that's that one. Then we move on to Caravan to Midnight. And I just want to see who's in this lineup, because there were a few changes. Bill Lorden still on drums, Rusty Allen on bass, Robin Trower on guitar, and James Dewar was just doing the vocals, so he put down the bass guitar for this album. My Love is a good track, Caravan to Midnight, the title track, Lost in Love, Birthday Boy, that's a bit different, King of the Dance, not bad, not a bad album. I don't think he ever really made a bad album. The next one, this was in the 80s, I think this was 1980 in fact. James Dewar, Robin Trower, Bill Lorden, still the same lineup. Victims of the Fury, great album this. Jack and Jill, Roads to Freedom is a really good track. Victims of the Fury, the title track, with some amazing guitar work from Robin Trower. You know, he's not a Joe Satriani, but when he does break out into a lead, it's so distinctive, which is what I think you want in a guitarist. Into the Flame, The Shout, really good album. This one did really well for him at the start of the 80s. This one's going on a few years. This one is, I think, in the late 80s or early 90s. And this one is called Passion. Bit of a cheesy cover there. So this is a different lineup. This is Dave Bronze on bass, synth and vocals. Dave Bronze, I think, has also played with many people as a sort of a session bass guitarist. So he's been around. Davey Patterson on lead vocals. Amazing voice. Very similar to James Dio, because obviously James had left the band when this came out. And Davey Patterson would be with Robin for quite a few albums in the 80s and I think the 90s. Pete Thompson on drums and Robin Trower on guitars. As you can see, a bit of a different lineup. More commercial Robin Trower this. Not so much the blues rock thing. He was obviously trying to crack the commercial market. You know, some ballady cup stuff. Caroline, Passion, the title track's okay. Bad Time. Certainly not up to the early 70s standard, but not bad. And the same can be said for this album, Take What You Need. And this one came out in 88. So that would have been about 85, the previous one. Pete Thompson on drums, Dave Bronze bass, Davey Patterson vocals, Robin Trower guitar. So that's pretty much the same lineup as Passion. Same kind of thing, very commercial. Nice guitar work in a few tracks. Tear It Up, the first track, is quite an upbeat rocker. Take What You Need From Me is a good track, the title track. Love Attack, Second Time, not too shabby. So then we move on to In the Line of Fire, that one there. And I think this still had Davey Patterson on vocals. Sea of Love, Under the Gun, Turn the Volume Up. That was a good track, quite a good rocker. And this came out in 1990. Didn't do great stuff. I think his best sales were probably from the early 70s. I think he kind of lost his way a bit in the late 80s and 90s. Living Out of Time is another 90s album. Same lineup. Bronze, Patterson, Thompson, Trower. What's Your Name, Step Into the Sun, Sweet Angel, that's a cool track. Nice atmospheric guitar in that. So there's that one. As you can see, these later ones don't hold the same affection for me as the early 70s ones do. What Lies Beneath, and I think this is where Robin had come on as the vocalist, if I'm not very much mistaken, although I do get mistaken quite often. Let's just have a look here. I think this is where Robin is on lead vocals. Yes. Robin Trower, guitar and vocals. Livingston Brown on bass, so there's been more lineup changes. Sam van Essen on drums, Roger Cotton organ, and he's even got some strings on here. Andrew Haveron and Claire Hinton on strings. So yeah, not a bad album. I'm trying to think if there's anything that stood out for me here. What Lies Beneath, the title track, Free Fall, Time and Emotion. I'm not sold on him being a singer. You know, when you're a guitarist of that caliber, you really need to concentrate on your guitar and leave the singing to somebody else. That's just my personal viewpoint. And I'm sure that he could get hold of a decent singer again. He had great singers in Davey Patterson and of course James Dio, and it just rounds out what he does. You know, it adds more to the guitar work. But anyway, like I said, that's my personal viewpoint. And then we move to 2010. It's another one that I have. This one's called The Playful Heart. And him on vocals again. Title track is great. Don't Look Back, The Turning, Find Me, that's a good track. Yeah, another one to check out. Then over the years he did a couple of albums with one and only Jack Bruce, of course from Cream. The first one he did was called BLT, Bacon, Lettuce, Tomato, there we go, or Bill Lorden, Robin Trower and Jack Bruce. Clever play on words there, nice. Whenever I look at that I really get hungry. Some of this is very much sort of in the Cream line. You can obviously with Jack Bruce's vocals, some great bass work from him obviously as well. Into Money is good. No Island Lost, Life on Earth, Carmen, that's a cool sort of ballady kind of track. Quite good that one if you could find it. And then the follow-up one he did, and this was also I think in 1981. one called Truce, Gonna Shut You Down, Thin Ice, Last Train to the Stars, Little Boy Lost, that's a very good track. Robin Trower, Jack Bruce vocals, bass and keyboards, so Jack Bruce on keyboards here, and Reg Isidore back on drums. He was the guy from the debut album. And then many years later they did another one called 7 Moons, and there's actually an accompanying DVD for this I don't have. I must still get hold of that. 7 Moons Live. It would be quite cool to check out. And this was in 2007. 7 Moons, the title track. Lives of Clay. So Far to Yesterday is a very good track. Bad Case of Celebrity. Pretty good. Not bad. And there have also been a number of live albums over the years. Of course, the most famous one I think is from 75, or was it 76? 75. And it's that album there, Robin Trower Live. Beautiful live album. Well recorded. You know, some live albums you get a bit too much of the crowd noise or too little of the crowd noise. These guys got it just right with this. And yeah, he's firing on all cylinders here. Obviously the mid-70s. Starts off with 2 Rolling Stone, Daydream, Rock Me Baby, great version on here, Lady Love, I Can't Wait Much Longer, Alethea, beautiful track, and a little bit of Sympathy to finish it off. It's an essential live album. When you're talking about live albums from the 70s, you know, like the Grand Funks and the Deep Purples and the Thin Lizzies and what have you, you need to have that one in your collection. And then he brought out an album, I think this was also in the 80s. Very strange move for him. This was on the Music for Nations label, which was a heavy metal label. Now, in no way, shape or form is Robin Trower heavy metal. Nonetheless, that was the label that he signed with. He was obviously looking for a new label. The album is called Beyond the Mist. And this has got Martin Clapson on drums, Dave Bronze bass and vocals. He's got quite a high-pitched vocal. And Robin Trower on guitar. Side 1 is The Last Time, Keeping a Secret, The Voice, Beyond the Mist. So there's 2 studio and there's about 5 live tracks on here. Recorded live in April 1985. Then they do a couple of the older stuff, older tracks, Time Is Short, Back It Up, and Bridge of Sighs. Bridge of Sighs is about 10 minutes long on here, which is quite cool. It's always nice to see a guitarist stretch out a bit. And that's what I have as far as Robin Trower is concerned. As I said, there are a few albums that I don't have. Some of the more recent ones, and some I think from the 90s that I don't have. But as I said, I don't think he's ever really brought out a bad album. The new one, I've heard a few tracks. It takes a while to get used to because he's collaborating with Maxi Priest and another guy. It's a bit more commercial. But you can still hear his guitar come through, and I think he adds a bit of something different to the party there. So there we go, Robin Trower. If you guys haven't discovered him yet, I urge you to do so. Just for the tone of his guitar alone, it's stunning. If you like this video, please like and subscribe down below. Any comments, more than welcome. And yeah, next time we're going to do another solo artist. Another guy for me who doesn't get enough credit. Still going today as well. And we're talking about the guitarist by the name of Pat Travis. And we'll see how that goes. Take it easy. Have a good week. I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.